PM, and we will call the meeting to order.
I'll make a motion to open.
Second?
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Are we good with the eye in the sky?
Yes.
You're on.
Thank you.
Thanks, boss.
All right, so first up on the agenda, we have a presentation from Innes Associates on the 2025 Affordable Housing Project.
Good evening.
Thank you for coming here, appreciate it.
My pleasure. Always nice to be in person when possible. My name is Emily Keys Innes. I'm the president of Innes Land Strategies Group, which used to be Innes Associates.
Ooh, new name.
New name, new logo. And I am here to provide a report to you on a couple of different things. So with your permission, I will share my screen.
Please.
And it should come up in just a second. Maybe two. I can see it. I'm waiting for you to see it.
No.
Oh, there it goes. Perfect. Excellent. Okay. So we had been hired by the town of Groveland, thanks to funding that you provided to them, to look into a couple of areas of thinking about what the CPC funding could do to assist with affordable housing, based on the 2020 Affordable Housing Plan, and we were looking at three particular steps. So the Affordable Housing Implementation Plan, which was done back in 2020, looked at a homeowner assistance buy-down program, recommended partnering with nonprofit and for-profit developers to create or build or rehab affordable units, and converting single-family homes to multifamily or affordable units. And we have assisted the town of Groveland with some zoning that also could help address affordability, some draft zoning, I should say. It hasn't all come forward. So what we were asked to do this time is to look at some non-zoning strategies, and that included how would you establish an affordable housing trust? Yes.
Can you turn the volume up a little?
Sure, or I can talk louder. I think this mic is just for, although I just heard my voice here. You know, I'm just going to move it closer to me. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay, great, excellent, we'll do that. I thought this one was just for the TV, so I had it further away. So the three things that we were asked to look at, I can hear it now, for this was what would it take to establish an affordable housing trust and what could they do? Would it be possible to create a small home repairs program for low-income and older residents to help them stay in their current houses or rental units? And how would you use municipal land for affordable housing, and thinking about nonprofit partnerships? So our remit was to look into these, to see what other people had been doing, and to provide two deliverables. One is a very technical memorandum that goes into every little step that we could come up with that would be appropriate. And the second is this presentation, which is at a much higher level. And I believe, but I'm not positive, that you all have had a chance to look at or you've at least received the draft memorandum, the technical memorandum. So I'm going to go through each of these in turn. So the first thing is an affordable housing trust, also known as a municipal affordable housing trust. There are a lot of communities that have these. And the idea is that it gives the town the ability to, and the flexibility to move more quickly in creating affordable housing. So an affordable housing trust has certain critical powers. They are able to acquire, hold, lease, sell, or rehabilitate property, so powers related to real estate. That includes homes that are funded by the CPA. So an affordable housing trust can get funds either from something like a fee in lieu from inclusionary housing, which many communities have, including Groveland, or it can get it from homes funded by the CPA. They have legal and financial responsibilities that allows them to execute agreements, manage funds, borrow, interfinancing agreements, all the things that you would need to do if you were going to buy, develop, or rehabilitate property. And then, as any entity, as an operational, hire advisors, manage or improve property, sell assets when appropriate. So the state legislation enables all of these activities. And then what would happen is the town would have to actually create a municipal affordable housing trust by adopting a bylaw at town meeting. And we've provided in the technical memorandum an example of the bylaw. So once the bylaw is adopted, if the town does choose to move in that direction, the MAHT or the AHT would create a board that would be appointed. They would be learning how to become an affordable housing trust. They would establish a trust fund, establish auditing procedures and reporting procedures. So they would have to report back to the town what the monies were that they received and how they spent them. That can be done on a regular schedule. It could be annually, biannually, or we would recommend quarterly. They would set their priorities, budget, and funding strategy. A lot of the first steps sometimes are creating like a 3-year or a 5-year plan. Any CPC funds that the Community Preservation Committee was voting to the trust would have to be transferred, and then they would have to think about what is their ongoing staffing, what projects are they going to do, how are they going to communicate with the community. So the first year would really be about getting set up, and then after that, doing those real estate activities we talked about. So the board is publicly appointed. The authority and responsibilities are clearly defined in the bylaw, so they can only act within the bylaw that is passed by town meeting. That's those parameters about how the board can operate. As I said, mentioning the quarterly reporting. And then the Massachusetts Housing Partnership has a lot of resources of how to set up a municipal affordable housing trust, technical support. There are also consultants who work directly with AHTs. We are not one of them. So, I'm free to mention that there are consultants because we don't do this work, but there are plenty that do. And the image that you can't quite see on my screen because this is hiding it, is the document, the Municipal Affordable Housing Trust that MHP puts out. We've got links to it in the report that has a step-by-step of exactly how you do that. Our technical report really focuses, again, on sort of this is how you do it, but at a higher level, but the Massachusetts Housing Partnership document is a great, let's get into the weeds of exactly how you set it up. So that's a affordable housing trust. We also looked into a small repairs program, and we had a lot of hope for this one because so many times for somebody to be able to stay in their home, all they need is a little bit of assistance and smaller repairs or creating, more accessible, putting in grab bars or a small ramp or something like that. Now, CPA funding cannot be used for repairs unless the property was originally created or acquired with CPA funds. So if the Affordable Housing Trust, for example, or if the CPA themselves bought and renovated a property or built new with CPA funds, future funds could be used for those repairs. We're kind of disappointed. We were hoping that the CPA could do that for everything. There are some alternative funding sources. So the USDA Rural Development program has one. Mass Housing also has loan and grant programs. So there's Mass Housing Partnership that has the document for the Affordable Housing Trust. Mass Housing is a different agency. They've got some loan programs that could work. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund, not CPA funds, but as an Affordable Housing Trust builds up a trust fund, those funds could be used, as our understanding, just not the CPC funds. So there are a couple of other communities out there, Concord, Needham, Situate. We have sort of the baseline. These are the funds that they grant for those small repairs. We talked about a couple of different ways you could set it up, looking at those examples of, is this something where the homeowner already has their contractor, they're applying for the funds? Is it something where the town, this is a higher burden on the town, has a pool of contractors that they can assign to a homeowner? There's a couple of different ways of doing this, but really the funding strategy is going to govern how that can happen. And the models do show that these small repairs programs can really be helpful. Then finally, disposition of land. This is something, again, that a lot of communities are doing right now. We've certainly helped communities do requests for proposals for the disposition of municipal land, and that can be vacant land, i.e. something that doesn't currently have a building on it, or it can be an existing building. So for example, one of the projects we worked with was the city of East Hampton, where they had 3 schools. And they were disposing of the schools for affordable housing. We also worked with Foxborough to do land that had been given to the Housing Authority by DCAM, so that was just straight disposition of land. But either way, if the town has municipal property, they can put out an RFP and work with either nonprofits like Habitat for Humanity, or community development corporations. There aren't as many in this area, but that could be something that somebody could start, or of course, for-profit housing developers. This is interesting. So RFPs have to go through 30B, which is the Procurement Act, the State Procurement Act. But what's different when the municipality has control over the land is they, of course, have to either follow the zoning or use the 40B process, depending on the town's existing zoning and their goals. But when the town owns the land, they can also set up within the land disposition agreement, so the actual agreement with the developer, they can set up other controls for what they want. So it's important to know that if you're moving towards a process where the town wants to dispose of land, they can create development criteria and evaluation criteria that really gets to what the community wants to see out of this, over and above the zoning, because the town is essentially a partner in the development by providing the land. So that's something, happy to talk more. The town, traditionally towns have acquired parcels through tax liens or foreclosures. The legislation changed last year. That makes it a little bit more difficult to do. We know that the state legislature has been looking at that, and so our legislative team is keeping an eye on where that's going, but right now that's a little bit harder than it used to do. So if the town wants to move forward, there's a couple of different paths. Certainly it could look at the bylaw for the Municipal Affordable Housing Trust. And as I said, there's a sample one in that technical document that lays out at least a pathway to look at. We did some tweaks, but we think that, that's something that's really a conversation within the town before it goes to town meeting for review. Could look at a small home repairs program and the opportunities for funding, but sadly not CPC funds. And then looking at, are there appropriate properties in town that could be disposed of? How would they be disposed of? And going through an RFP process on that. We did give an outline of how the 30B process works in an appendix and kind of the timelines of how that would work, just to give you additional information. And then there's a sample agreement, a grant agreement in there as well. So with that, that is my presentation. Happy to answer any questions. And of course, if you have any questions on the larger document, either talk about it tonight or you can feed them through Rebecca and Annie, and we're happy to answer those in writing if they're more complex.
Excellent. I appreciate it. Thank you for the presentation. I'll start down with Ed if he has any questions. We'll just kind of work down the table.
You mentioned money available, there'd be money available, or could be, for minor repairs to some people's housing. If that's the case, is there, when the property's sold, is there any restriction on that? Do they have to pay that back?
It depends on the program. In some cases, the program may be set up so that as long as a person is in that house or apartment for X number of years, then they don't have to pay it back. And if they leave earlier, then they would. The idea is that you're really trying to help that particular person stay in their home. And so if they're not staying in the home, then that goal hasn't been achieved. But different communities can do it different ways. And it also depends, I think, on the source funds. The federal and state programs might have slightly different rules.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Kim?
I'm a little confused, so I'm going to
Yeah,
ask
of
for
course.
some help here. Town of Groveland has an existing funds that were contributed, but they had to form a corporation.
Right.
is this what you're addressing? Is using the funds that were donated by development people
Yeah.
that can actually, because I know that the CPC can't touch it, none of the town could touch it until the corporation is formed. Is this what this report entailed?
That is one of the things. The Municipal Affordable Housing Trust is what needs to be formed in order to use those funds.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Linda, anything?
Yes. When you say minor repairs, is there a monetary limit on minor repairs?
Up to the town. Usually it is the smaller amounts that we saw, $3,000 or $4,000 to $7,000 from the sample communities, but it's up to the town as to how they want to do it. It may depend on how much. Frequently, when you see a program like this, there's a certain amount per year that's been put towards the loan fund, and then it depends on how many applicants and how the town wants to restrict it.
Thank you.
On the pots of money, like from different sources piece of it, right?
Yeah.
The money that currently exists that would go into the trust, that money, none of it came from CPC, is that right? Because it's from the developers who have decided to pay the money instead of making affordable housing, right?
That is my understanding, yes.
Okay, so any money so I think about when money gets into this trust, then the trust decides how it gets spent. But obviously the concern is if the CPC is somehow putting money into that trust, well, then there's a separate pot of money in the pot of money that can't be used for things like repairs on properties that we didn't buy, right?
100%, and that's why that quarterly reporting is so important, because the trust is going to have to keep track of that.
Sure.
So, say, to make up some nice round numbers, say they had 500,000 from the developers, 500,000 from the CPC, so we can make them even. They're going to have to track each of those buckets of 500,000 separately.
Sure.
And report back on those separately, because they can't use the CPC funds for something that it's not eligible.
Understood.
Yep.
Mike?
So it sounds like doing a municipal affordable housing trust makes the most sense out of the things that you're talking about, those three things. So I'm not sure how effective it's going to be, only because the town hasn't spent any money to purchase or build housing, right? None. So how are we going to be able to spend over $1 million of CPA money if it can't be used on any property that we haven't built?
For the small repairs fund, it can't be used for the small repairs fund on any property that you haven't built. But the CPC could give money to the Affordable Housing Trust to either buy property or to, for the CPC to buy the property. It can also use those funds from developers to buy rehab property. So it was just the small housing grants that I was referring to that couldn't be used for CPC funds.
But can you rehabilitate housing?
You can buy the house and rehabilitate
No,
it,
but-
yeah.
Something we already own.
That is, no, because the property has to be originally created or acquired with CPA funds, but the funds from the developers are not CPA
Yeah.
funds. So that's separate, right?
Unfortunately, we have over $1 million of CPA funds under affordable housing. We only have about $750,000 from our other fund. And it seems like still, we're gonna have our hands tied to not really be able to do what we want to do.
Can I jump on your question? 'Cause
Yeah.
I kind of have the same one.
Right.
So if the town already owns a piece of property, can now the Affordable Housing Trust buy it from the town for the trust and then be able to use CPA funds on it?
or the town disposes of it via an RFP to a private developer or nonprofit. And part of the deal is that CPA funds go in to buy the affordable housing units. So let's just say you had a piece of property and the town did an RFP and there were going to be 4 units on it. And you wanted, as a town, you wanted a deeper level of affordability on those units. The CPA can be part of the capital stack, part of the funds that go to it, in exchange for that deeper level of affordability. In other words, you don't have to buy the house. You don't have to, you don't have to do the whole development yourself. The CPA funds can be part of the overall, and that's quite common. There was another RFP that we did where the town gave the land and then the CPC voted an amount of money to go with it that was going to help the developer close the gap in the financing for the project. So you can absolutely do that. And if you have $1 million, it could be that full million for a larger project, or you could split it up into smaller pieces for smaller projects.
So we just got to get a little creative with it.
You got to get a little creative with it, so. And that's why, these 3 strategies aren't mutually exclusive, right? Because you can have an AHT, and they're using their money in larger groups for affordable housing, and in smaller things for the small repairs program. Then you've got the town doing an RFP to dispose of properties. The CPC is participating in some of that, and possibly the AHT is participating in some of that. So these things can work together. They're not mutually exclusive.
But the trust is really the linchpin to all of it, right? You can't really do the other things without doing the trust.
The CPC could vote it directly, but it's probably easier to send it to the trust first.
And there's money that is waiting.
And they can tap into that,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
That money can't be touched unless and until.
100%, yeah. That is our understanding. Yeah.
And how about administrative tasks related to the trust? Can it fund that?
That is my understanding. We can double check that for you, but it's my understanding that they could, because they would have to be able to hire that help and in that operating authority that I mentioned earlier. They can hire help, they can hire outside consultants, they can hire staff, so.
Anything else? No. Elaine?
So CPA could, does the land have to be identified before the money could be invested in it? Like, I'm just trying to think about if there was a lot of land that became available. That, can we buy that, or does it have to be bought by the trust?
You could buy the land as well, but I think it depends on who does it make the most sense to actually purchase the land. So, and that may depend on what you're going to do with it.
I would think that doing it through the trust, if we do it
Yeah.
through the CPA, that, we're going to wait a whole year for town meeting and then have a vote on it.
Exactly.
Whereas if the money's in the trust,
Then
They
they
can
can
just act
act,
on it.
right, exactly, and that is
and
part
they
of the
can
reason.
act basically on our behalf if we gave them that money.
Right, that would be the cleaner and faster way. And then the idea is that you are a funding source, but you're not doing the operating, the developing, the holding the land. Now, that's where the bylaw for the Affordable Housing Trust comes in. That's so important, is you want to give them the appropriate authorities for that, and you want to make sure that they're reporting back to the appropriate groups so that everybody can see what's happening when. But the AHT could move much faster than the CPA funding would otherwise allow. Yeah?
Leah, anything?
Yes, I'm trying to follow up all the other questions. Just going with having established this trust, this housing trust, who do they answer to? I mean, is that the town? is there oversight? Who has oversight? Do they duplicate what we're doing in some ways around housing?
So they're publicly appointed, and that's set up by the bylaw is, is it usually the select board in a town? But there could be another way, depending on what the town wants to do. So they have to be,
So that has to be laid out before.
That's in the bylaw. So basically, the structure of your bylaw is going to say exactly, the structure of their bylaw plus state law is going to say exactly how they can operate and who's appointed, how many people are appointed, what their terms are. All of that should be in the bylaw. As it would for any other town entity, right? These should all be defined. Like, for example, the planning boards, the number of people, their terms, how they're elected in this case, all of that is defined in the bylaw. So it would go into that part of the town's bylaw where the other bodies are also authorized.
Does it present any conflict with this board? Could it?
It shouldn't, and what you might consider is maybe one of the members, frequently boards like this may have a liaison from other committees. So should the CPC have a liaison to the AHT, just to use our acronyms well? Exactly, roll off the tongue eventually. And then that way there is a direct line of communication in that respect. But if you think of your responsibilities as like you're collecting the funds and you are recommending what they should be used for, you're therefore the funding authority, then they are kind of like the executive authority within the bounds of that bylaw.
I get you. And is there a limit on the administrative, so they could hire?
That I don't know. I'll have to, I'm sure there is. I can't imagine that the state's going to put up and say, hey, we're not going to limit that. But usually there is. I don't remember what it is, but I can check. I also don't know if that could in fact also be town specific. Now, some towns assign, towns with or cities perhaps with larger budgets may assign town staff to it, and then it's coming from there. But I know how tight the staffing resources can get in smaller communities, so that would have to be thought through.
In some of the examples you use, is there a comparable town to the size of Groveland?
We looked, I can check with my team member. One of the things that we were finding is when we were looking for some of the specifics, is not all of the documents were online. So Amelia on my team, who did a lot of sort of the base research, then we talked through it, did talk to a few communities. She reached out to some more that didn't get back to her. So let me see which ones were of a size similar to Groveland, and happy to answer that question.
Good, thank you.
I am good. All my questions were answered, so thank you for that. Appreciate it.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll take it back to me. I got a list. I was taking notes as we went.
Okay, great.
So we can't use CPA funds for home repairs, but can we use the inclusionary money for home repairs?
My understanding is yes. I will, however, confirm that.
Okay.
So,
And this is a big one for me. How can we establish this to give Groveland residents priority? Or to some level of, you've been here, you've been a community member, we want you to stay.
Right.
As opposed to bringing in an outsider.
yeah, we have to think about that. You're meaning the small repairs program in particular?
And even with the affordable housing, the same thing. I'd rather see, someone who grew up in Groveland is ready to move out on their own. I'd rather give them a helping hand than bring in somebody else. To me, this is me personally, but.
Yeah, understood. There's something called a local preference. So under the subsidized housing inventory, as which of course the state manages, and that's where that 10% that you're getting measured on is the subsidized housing inventory. When you do what's called local action units under affordable housing, they count on the subsidized housing inventory. There is the ability to do a local preference. It's governed by state law. That's been probably 2 or 3 years since I last looked at it in detail. But you can establish that local preference for affordable units. You just have to follow the requirements. Usually it's, if there aren't people looking for it at that time, then it moves on to something else. But we can point you to, I can do a follow-up and we can point you to the section that allows for those local preference units.
Okay, perfect.
Does it act like a housing authority?
No, but what the developer has to do, say, I was the person who created those 4 units that we're talking about, and you have a local preference of, say, 50%. When I do my marketing plan for those units, I would have to figure out, so how am I going to market it? What's, there's a lottery for those. How am I going to do the lottery? Have to present that in advance. And then if there's not enough people on the local preference, how do I go back out after that? So it can get pretty detailed. I think either Mass Housing Partnership or Mass Housing has more information on that, so we can pull that for you. In terms of, a specific how-to guide, we can get
Well,
those links
Is
for you.
there a limit to it? I mean, could we be 100% local preference?
I think it's 70% is the maximum, or was the last time I looked. I don't know if that's changed, because the state's been doing a lot of changes to housing laws. I don't know if that's true. And of course, you naturally have to follow the Federal Fair Housing Act as well. But the last time I looked, it was 70%.
And what about rental housing?
The same would apply, is my
So-
understanding.
No, but what I mean is, if we are building rental housing, say, then who runs it? Does the Affordable Housing Trust run it?
Not no, usually it would be either, so I mentioned the partnership with either a nonprofit or a developer, they would be running it. So for example,
So we're not in the business of being landlords, we're just funding the operation?
you do not need to be landlords or do the operation. Yeah, you're not a housing authority in that respect. You've provided, in your case for the CPC, you've provided the funding source. For the Affordable Housing Trust, you've done you've provided maybe more funding sources, you've done the facilitation, but you're not generally managing. That's something that, for example, especially if it's something where it was done through an RFP, a disposition of municipal land, whoever is purchasing that, whoever's the partner on that, they would usually manage it. If it's something where the Affordable Housing Trust is maybe buying a unit, it maybe my 4 units, the Affordable Housing Trust buys one of those units, well, I'm still the manager of those. The Affordable Housing Trust is not managing that.
And then who would handle enforcement?
How do you, in terms of,
If the entities who are not, the town are not complying with what they're supposed to be doing or something like how would that, what would that look like?
well, some of this is, when you say not complying with, say, the marketing plan or
Well,
the
right,
local
right.
action
I mean,
plan?
if
Yeah.
if you set up a situation where there was a preference and it wasn't being followed, or if, you bought a place and things didn't get done the way that they were supposed to, or
Yeah.
I mean, who would step in?
So some of this is within, your own bylaws, or the Affordable Housing Trust said, well, I gave you this money and this didn't happen, so there's a level of that. But a lot of this is also state law. So the states, these have to be, the local action plan, it's have to be submitted to the Executive Office of Housing Livable Communities. The forms have to go through that. So there's a state process as well. It's not just on the town.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anybody else with a follow-up?
Is there money involved in the managing of this? I mean,
You mean
but
from the
it's gonna be-
town?
It's gonna be somebody's job.
Well, yeah, so if it's a nonprofit, or a for-profit developer, they have built the units, they are either renting them, or say they're renting them, that rent is going to help offset the cost of the management. If it's a nonprofit, obviously, they don't have to make a profit. If it's a for-profit, they're making some sort of profit on that. But, usually these are a combination of market rate and affordable. So the idea of the town participating on the affordable side is helping to offset some of that cost. Generally, the market rate is helping to offset others of the affordable housing cost.
Just off the top of your head, do you know what the rate for affordable housing is, a certain percentage of the?
Oh, so for the subsidized housing inventory, it tends to be approximately 80% of the area median income. I don't remember what the dollar figure is for
80%
growth.
of the-
Yeah, that's the standard one. And that's where I mentioned earlier that if the town, for example, wanted deeper affordability, it could say, we'd like to, we know you've provided 4 units and 2 of them are at 80% AMI and 2 are market. We'd like to buy one of those 80% AMI, but we want to buy it at we want it to be a 50% AMI. We're going to participate by buying that right, basically. So I know that's allowed. I'd have to delve into how that's allowed, but I know it is allowed,
Okay, thanks.
so.
Anybody else? All right, well, thank you for your time. I look
My
forward
pleasure.
to you completing your homework and getting back to us.
Excellent.
Very well presented, and we've got a lot to think about, that's for sure.
My pleasure. Amelia and I will follow up on the questions that you've asked and put something together that answers them. So thanks so much for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next up, we have,
Can I ask a land that we have available? I saw that there's like the Screw Company and there's a couple of places, right? But there's that field behind the police department and all that stuff, is that also part of that land that the town owns?
yeah, there's little pieces all over town that the town
Oh,
owns.
okay, but I mean, all right, that was,
I would say if you wanted to know more, probably check with the assessor. They probably have a list of town-owned, and then you can go from there.
okay.
All right, moving
We know
on.
that land.
Yeah.
We've got updates on 2026 project applications. First one up is the community garden water supply. Jan, would you like to give a swing at this? I put this in your packet, the new and improved.
All right, so thank you for letting me come back. Since you met last time, we had a meeting. I had a meeting with Arthur Marcos and Colin Stokes and Rebecca Oldham, because there was concern about the original design coming from the irrigation well, that it was not sufficient to take on, because they're having problems with it now, reaching even up here. So anyways, what the change that I made to the application is that now that we would be connecting to town water. And the connection would be at the softball shed. So it's basically about the same distance as the well was, but it would now come from town water. So it would have to be metered. Oh,
Is the mic, please?
yeah, okay. Can you hear me now? It's on.
Yeah, just
Okay.
bend it a little closer. Thank you.
Do you want me to repeat anything? Are we good?
We're good.
Okay. All right, so that's the big change that I put into the new report.
Okay.
And so it will slightly raise the cost of the installation, approximately $2,500. And it also has been upgraded, so we have National Sanitation Foundation piping and lead-free hose bibs, because that was another concern.
So it's going to be drinkable water.
Right.
Perfect.
Okay, you, basically, at the last meeting, we had the presentation that was itemized out off of the existing well that takes care of the ball field. And that was iffy as far as capacity. And then you had a price from the town to run town water, domestic water down there. And that was $6,000 or $7,000. Quoted $6,000 to run that water.
No, I'm sorry. I think there's a little confusion here. So originally, it was, you're absolutely right, it was from the irrigation well.
Yes,
And that was the original quote that was gotten from the town from my original proposal.
yes.
Right, subsequently, it's determined that it's not, the capacity isn't there. It's too iffy, and also the quality of the water, perhaps not so good. So then we determined we would try, and we talked with Colin Stokes about it, to bring it from town water, which is located in the softball shed. And I have the current estimate from Comac Brothers, and it was basically about $600 more to do it from there and to make it potable.
Oh, okay, so it's not the town doing the water line, it's still Comet.
Right, right. And you should have that in the updated copy at the end. There's a new estimate in the revised version.
Okay.
All right, I'm just going to hop on because Arthur had actually sent a list of questions. He wasn't able to be here tonight.
Okay,
But just Does COMAC's quote include prevailing wage rates?
Yes.
It does? Okay, it's not specifically.
No, I asked him to, so,
Okay, if we can just have him adjust it and say that it's prevailing wage, that would be helpful. The other question he has, how deep will the water line be installed?
it would be between 12 and 18 inches. He would do it with a ditch witch. It's not going to be a big, huge excavation process.
Okay. Is the water service to be installed to drinking water standards? I think you've already established that it is. A water meter must be installed, that's not included in the quote, and will an account be set up, and who will pay for it?
The water meter, I believe, would be installed by the water department.
Okay.
And yes, so the metered water would have to be paid for, absolutely.
And is there
so
a plan in place for that?
the plan is to have it come out of the user fee.
Okay. Will the contractor reloam and plant grass seed or regrade any disturbed area?
I don't have a quote for that, no. But basically, it's going in the gravel driveway and right around the fence. So,
Yeah.
and the ditch witch kind of puts it right back.
No, I get it.
Yeah, so-
These
but-
aren't my questions.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
that's fine, but I don't have any quote for reseeding, no.
Okay. Will there be other solicited bids from water install contractors to install the water service? I imagine if the project gets awarded, that's going to be standard procedure anyway. And then, who will be filing the Conservation Commission paperwork?
Oh, maybe I'll have Arthur do it.
Yeah, well, I'm just asking. I'm not, again,
I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. Well, it might be a good learning experience for me to do it. I mean, I'm not really concerned about the initial paperwork to do it.
okay.
You know, we'll figure that out.
All right. The only thing in there that I kind of have an issue with, and then I'll open it up to everybody else. I don't want to hog it, but I want to get it while it's fresh in my head. If they're only installing this water line 12 to 18 inches below ground, it's going to have to be winterized every year.
Correct. It would have to be no matter what, even if it was 3 feet down. Because it's coming up to hose bibs, so you'd have to drain it no matter what.
What is the plan to do that?
Well, right now, for example, Comac Brothers already does that for the fields and for the dog park.
Okay.
And it would be approximately like $100 to $120 a year, and that also should be able to come out of user fees.
Okay.
It would be an annual thing, it would have to be done.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We'll start down there with Ed, if you got any questions.
No, I think, I had the same question that you had, and I think it was answered.
Okay. Kim?
How big is the old dog park, which would be the new garden area?
How big is it? I don't have that number off the top of my head, but it's sufficient to have gardens for 18 people, and plus a few communal gardens.
Okay. And then the other thing I read in, I think the first submittal, that you're gonna use a raised beds, and that would be done, it wouldn't be done with CPC funds. You're not coming back to the well again, right?
I don't know. I'm hoping to be able to get some grants once we have the water supply, but I'm not going to say that I would never come back for something,
Okay, thank
you know?
Linda, anything?
Not right now.
Patrick?
How would you determine who are the users?
Who are the users?
If it's 18 people involved in Groveland, do we have a lottery? If there's huge demand, do we jack up the prices to make sure?
Yeah, we could start making money off of this, right? Right?
Well,
the way you're thinking.
there's your raised beds.
Yeah. right. There
No,
you
but
go.
I mean, we're a town of, what, more than 6,000. How do you determine how would you figure out who could be the 18 people?
Well, towns do it different ways. Some communities do like a first come, first serve. They put it out there and they say, oh, the first people to come through. You know, obviously, whoever wants to do it has to meet some criteria, which we have established in my final report that I submitted. So, you know, people would have to agree to the rules of the whole thing, and they'd have to pay their user fee.
Yeah.
So, some of those things might be deterrents for people, but I do know in many communities, there's a waiting list.
Oh, I bet. I
Right.
bet. I mean, it would be desirable, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike?
Nothing.
Elaine?
So just that, Jen, with the community garden, you said it'd be 18, like, individual gardens, and then you
Right.
said it'd be,
Right, we measured out some space, there's a diagram in the final report, and it shows some space for some communal areas, which would have like a communal garden, you know, where you might plant like blueberry bushes or something like that, that everybody could access. But just like a seating area, kind of a place where you could gather. So would be 18 individual beds, and then I think it was like 3 or 4, maybe a different size, like a round raised bed, and it would be kind of a communal use, or flowers or something like
so
that.
that communal part would that also be like, people would pay to be a part of that community?
No,
garden?
no, that would, we envision that as just part of the aesthetics of the area, and to make it more pleasant, and, you know, maybe even have one of them be a demonstration garden for native plantings, that kind of thing. So, no, there wouldn't be an extra charge.
So that would basically be used for free, those community,
Yeah, the community gardeners, yes,
and
would
so-
be able to, like, say there was a rhubarb plant in one of
Yeah,
them, you
yeah.
know, and it was communal, and you wanted to pick some rhubarb, you could.
So who would pay for the watering of that part of it?
That's a good question. That would be communal.
Yeah.
But my hope is because you're not going to pay for each individual bed. You know, and we
Right, we're
did
not
some.
metering the water 18 times.
Right,
One meter
exactly.
Divided by 18.
Exactly.
Come
Yeah.
out or something.
You know, and that's, like, using the well before made this part a lot easier,
Sure.
you know? But with this, I mean, conservation has to be paramount. You know, also, you know, considering not to plant maybe in those communal beds some really thirsty plants.
Right, right.
And also maybe putting a couple of rain barrels in the communal spot that would be able to augment, you know, any watering issues.
You could also you could also just divide the pie by 18 instead of 22, or whatever it is, and say, listen, if part of your user fee is going toward the community part of the
Yeah.
garden too, and I mean.
Right.
that
I don't
would-
think it's insurmountable
Right,
problem.
it seems like it wouldn't be a, huge burden.
Right, and if you have a really, really wet year, don't
Right.
spend any money.
Yeah.
But if you have a dry year, then you might have a problem.
Anything?
And the soil that's there, is it the soil that would be,
No, we would have to fill the raised beds. The soil down there is really sandy.
sandy?
Yeah.
Okay.
In a raised bed, you would cart soil in, but you don't have to fill them completely
Right.
with really expensive soil.
Yeah.
You know, the bottom part, you can put, you know, all kinds, this is, you know, mulch, that kind of stuff.
Well, you did the
And
ones
then,
at
but the top layer, you would want,
Good Soil.
Good
You
Soil.
you did the ones at Veazey, right? The ones where the canoes are. Didn't you do those plantings and those raised beds? That was you,
Yeah.
right?
not this year, I didn't do them this year, all the other years I did. Yeah,
That's-
this year it was Lovely Earth Gardening who did it. Yeah. That's the name of
Did
the
a good job,
company.
too. It's okay.
Jan, do you have a working idea how much each bed or each site is going to cost?
I think it would probably be, because of these added costs, like having the water, it would have to be at least $40,
A year?
yeah.
Oh.
But it could be 50. But it really couldn't be less than 40 to cover these costs.
Okay, no, thank you.
No, sure.
DJ?
So I know nothing about community gardens. I'm not a gardener. The beds, you have 18, can they be shared by 2 people? Can someone come in and say, hey, I want,
You mean like subletting?
yeah, if you don't need the room, if you don't need the room, right? You're only doing, I don't know how big a
Yeah,
bed even
well,
is. Is it the size of a 6-foot table? Is it?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that, but,
Instead of only having
Like if-
18 residents be able to use it, now you have
yeah,
36
people that
or-
got along, it might work. You know, like if somebody just wants to
forget it.
put all tomato plants in there and somebody else, you know. No, but that's a good idea.
I just,
Why not?
yeah, I didn't know. And if it's first come, first serve, or lottery, or however the process is, and you said there's usually typically a waiting list, does that reset every year, or the same person if they're, I get it. I'm 45 years old and all of a sudden I'm, here for 20 years and I've never have to give up the bed. Does it reset at any given time? Does you just keep it as long as you want, or?
I really thought about that. You mean like a year of jubilee and then it all reverts back? I mean, usually people, once they're in it, they don't get kicked out.
Okay.
Usually it's like somebody moves and it opens up, or they decide they don't want to do it anymore. Or, they just for whatever reason are willing to give it up. I mean, I don't think, I don't know, that, I've never heard of somebody saying, gee, I've been waiting for 25 years and I couldn't get on. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I think that's something we are going to have to figure out.
Okay. I don't, like I said, I
Yeah.
have.
I mean,
no
obviously,
experience, so-
not everybody is going to be able to do it,
Right.
But I think we try to be as open and accessible as possible.
And the reason why I ask is using CPC funding, it's for the entire community, where it's restricted as of right now to 18 people, plus the public garden, and you want to open it up to as many people as best you can.
Right.
And if the first 18 people come on and now no one moves for 10 years, it's kind of unfortunate, right?
Right.
That's not something we have to figure out. It's just, food for thought. I was trying to think of I don't know how they work, so.
Well, if it's super, super popular,
Right.
we can put another one somewhere else,
Yep.
Piggybacking onto that, have you considered possible other locations? You said that the ground there is sandy, so it wouldn't be good for a non-raised bed situation, but I bet you there are places in town where there might be really, really good soil, right?
Well, we did talk about that at the meeting, and really nothing came up that had a water supply close by. Actually, the property that came up too is the one behind the police station that you were just mentioning. And, if there's plans to build there in the future, it doesn't make sense to put the community garden there. But that one did come up too. So I don't know. But
Nothing has-
this one seemed to be the best, right, that we came up with now.
All right, I'll take it home. And kind of piggyback onto what DJ said, I would almost insist that it be a lottery to get in there, and it should reset every year so that more people have an opportunity. Again, where it's tax dollars that are gonna fund it,
Wow.
it should, to some level, be open to everybody. And to his point, if 18 people go there and 10 years go by, none of them wanna give it up. That, how's that fair if there's 100 people that are waiting and they don't even get a chance at it because they weren't knocking down the door, maybe they knew the town, maybe they didn't know. So I would think a lottery would be the best option for that.
Well, I think it'd be good, what I can do is really look into some other towns if they do a reset and just see how they work it out. I think that's a really good point, because, going forward, you would want it to be as equitable as possible.
Yeah, well, again, if it was a private donation and, it was Jan's Garden and you wanted your 18 friends to be there, that's one thing. But if the town of Groveland is kicking money in for it, then it
Yeah.
should be open to the whole town.
Right, but there also has to be other restrictions on it too, it's just, probably be at least 18 or 16 to have one or whatever, you know what I
Sure.
mean?
Oh,
Things like
sure.
that, yeah.
Yeah,
But I'll definitely be thinking about that and looking into it.
okay, and I would just say, maybe touch base with Arthur or touch base with Colin and see if there's any cost to add a water meter. Or if the town's if the water department's just gonna absorb that.
Okay,
And then, I can follow up with Arthur on most of the questions that you answered, and I'll just copy you on an email and
Okay.
we'll keep it going. So we gotta have all these answers prior to the next meeting so we can vote on it.
oh, so you're meeting at your next meeting?
We're
You're
voting at our
at your
next
next
meeting.
meeting, okay.
So, but I'll work with you in the meantime,
Yeah, and I can reach out to Colin about that too,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yep.
All right,
I just have one more follow-up,
Sure.
Jen. So going off of the other accountability, so now you have 18 people in there, and someone pays the 40, they get on there, they pay their $40, $50, $100, doesn't matter, whatever it is, and they're not doing anything with their bed. They don't have the time, or someone now gets health problems that they can't make it down there. Do you go back to the list and whoever's the top of the wait list, or another lottery, or to bring someone else in there so it doesn't go to waste for a season, kind of thing? Is there any type of does the board or committee, the oversight committee, making sure that people are actually using it, or do they just leave it alone and it shows for the year, you do what you want with it, don't use it, use it? that kind of thing?
Well, in the list of rules that I had put out when we did our final report, there were some things that had to do with that. Just
Okay.
about, you're responsible for not making a mess, you're responsible for not leaving crap around, all this other stuff. I think if somebody got sick mid-season and couldn't do it anymore, it would kind of depend on what part of the season it was.
Yeah.
Like if it was late, like almost harvest time, you probably wouldn't be running out and trying to get somebody else to take over. You wouldn't worry about it so much, you wait till the following year. I think those kind of things you would have to determine
The one-off.
on a case-by-case
It's a one-off,
basis.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think any of them are, you deal with it, you deal with what comes up. You can't have the foresight into every little problem that might come up.
Okay.
But, yeah, it's a good point. You have to have oversight. You can't just put it down there and have,
Right.
say, okay, up to you guys.
Let me jump right on that, because you just walked right into my question. Who's managing
Adam,
this?
follow up.
Well, nobody's managing right now till we get the water.
Fair. Is there are you going to have a community garden committee?
Well, I think
or-
ideally you would have a
Like,
group
we have a
of,
plant, what do we have, a plant club or something?
well, there's a garden club, but ideally,
club.
of the people that are using it, you would have like 2 or 3 people who would oversee. And it would be part of their job to oversee. And usually you have enough people who like to do that kind of thing, who
sure.
are down there at least every week. And they, then you'd say, hey, what about, you're having trouble with your plot, what's going on?
Yeah.
And also like people go on vacation and they might say to the neighboring gardener, gee, could you water my plants this week for me? You know what I mean? The whole thing about it, it's a community. Right.
Yeah. My grandfather, if he was still around, he would never leave there. Like, he loved that stuff.
Yeah, so I think these things will all have to be worked out, and sometimes, you have a great plan and you have to kind of go, well, maybe that didn't work so well, and, revise it and make it better.
All right, I appreciate it. Like I say, I'll work with you and Arthur, and we'll get all his questions
Okay.
checked off, and just touch base with Colin and find out if there's a cost.
Okay,
Not that it's prohibitive, I just want you to make sure you carry it, so it's not, you're not looking for $2,000 at the end of it.
right.
But I mean, thank you for re-going. He is gonna be heavy on the putting it back to the way it is and reseeding it, whatever was dug up. I know the ditch witch does, it does make a mess, and it probably will need some level of seeding or care to, put it back down when it's done,
Okay.
so.
Adam, follow up.
Yes, sir.
Follow up for Jan. Based upon your presentation and this paperwork, other than the 15,000 plus, there shouldn't be any future costs borne by the town. Sounds like the costs are going to be borne by the people that have the gardens down there. Is that
Well,
correct?
the garden isn't going to be done yet, once we have the water supply in.
But once it is done, the user fees will cover all the
You mean,
upkeep and
once it's all done with the beds and everything in it? Is that
I'm
what you
just
mean?
worried about any future costs for the town of Groveland, but it
For-
sounds like
for
they're
maintenance?
going to cover everything.
You mean for maintenance?
Yeah, the members down there.
That's what.
Any cost to the town. If you get the 15,278 from the CPA, the rest of the money, anything that needs down there is going to be covered by the people that are using the facility. Is that correct?
Well, no, because the project isn't done yet. This is like phase 2. This
So-
is phase 2 to get the water there.
If I can just tell
Yeah.
you, so you potentially may come back with a phase 3 to build the raised beds?
I may come
Potentially
back-
next year or not?
Right, depending on the grant funding, because I hope to seek, and hopefully get some grants, but there may be a gap there, you know
Okay.
what I mean? So I'm not going to say that there won't be another presentation.
But as far as
CPC.
maintenance and upkeep, that's all going to be taken care of by the
That-
user fees eventually when it's up and running?
Right, that is my hope.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you, when you're talking to Colin too, is there a minimum on a water meter?
No, he said he wouldn't do that. He said he could actually
He could cut the rate,
bill
only
us,
give you,
no, because I was concerned about that.
yeah,
I was concerned that we would be charged like a minimum rate over the wintertime, even when we're not using it. And he said he could set it up so that we would only be charged during, from May to September or whatever.
perfect.
So
Perfect.
hopefully that works out that way, but I
Yeah,
think
and
that-
obviously, we're not on sewer over there, so it's, you know,
Right.
you don't have to worry about that
Right.
where it's an irrigation meter. Okay, anybody else? Kim?
Just one question. I don't know who controls the well that feeds the ball field presently? Is that Recreation Department?
I believe the highway department
Yeah, I
is
think-
controlling that.
Okay. Was it ever considered to price putting a new, larger capacity well in instead of going with
They-
domestic water?
They did look into that, but then because of the fact that it was gonna be hose bibs at a space and somebody could go fill up a water bottle, they wanted potable water and not.
Okay, good, that answers the question. Thank you.
Okay,
All right. That'll be all. Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You-
All right, next up, we have an update on the Pines lighting. Shit, that's me. After discussion and going back and forth with Patrick, myself, Rebecca, and Arthur, we're gonna dial this project back for this year and just do engineering and design, so that when we are, you know, we can come back with some more fixed costs, and then figure out at that point how to do it in the future. So, you can, I just grilled everybody else.
Yeah.
Have at it.
So I'm just wondering, in terms of the planning, I like that idea. Is it possible to look at it in,
Phases?
yeah?
Yes,
So that it's not the whole Pines that's
Yes.
electrified?
yes,
Because I have concerns about that.
yes.
Okay.
We are, I met with the engineer and author last week. We sat down for an hour or so and kind of went over some of these technicalities and how we wanted to go about. We're still dialing it in. I'm told I'll have a new proposal prior to our next meeting.
Okay, great, thank you.
So that we can get it in there. But the phased approach was definitely one we wanted to go with.
Great, thank you. That's great.
And things that were important about that were that, one, we felt strongly that, you know, trying to get a loan at this point seemed, you know, like the town's pretty finance weary as it is. And, you know, we think that there are a lot of opportunities to get resources, both in terms of, you know, future CPA years potentially, and also grant
Outside
money and
grants.
things like that, and volunteerism. But also that the pieces that we would do now would not be, if there was a gap in time between then and finishing the project, there wouldn't be things that would deteriorate in any meaningful way. It wouldn't put us back. You know, if we're spending dollars now on part of the things, those dollars are cheaper than future dollars because of inflation and those sorts of things, you know, that just time value of money kind of stuff. So it was, doing this first phase was something that helps us make a smaller ask later, but also advances the ball toward that without doing any damage to, you know, to the money that we would ask to be spent.
Yeah, so the first phase almost, you know, is gonna be the infrastructure to run it, you know, getting the electric panels, transformers, meters and all that stuff situated. That would be the first phase, and the thought on it would be to get it so that it would have the infrastructure that we could do all of it, but then be able to piecemeal it in, maybe, you know, maybe one or two fields at a time as the budget allowed. Anybody else?
Adam?
Yes, sir.
I assume that basically we'd have some sort of marketing announcement for it so that all the town residents that go into the town meeting, all of a sudden don't just look up and say, you want to do what?
Yeah, so,
That's,
our town moderator does a nice little thing, he does a roundtable, and I'll sit down with him and we'll discuss all these projects, so that when people do go to town meeting, they've got a clue of what it is. We did it last year, it was pretty successful, and I intend on doing it again this year with him.
Yeah, because I spent better part of almost a year designing the senior center on that plot of land that's behind the fire station, behind the police department, and this side of the housing. Got it designed, we had money, get it designed, and then when it went to town meeting, it went down the tubes.
Understood. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
so do you have a rough idea of what you're gonna be coming in on for
I-
this first part?
I have an idea, but it's only based on my opinion, and I'd rather not. I'm told I'll have a proposal prior to the next meeting, so I'd like to wait for it to come in. He had to reach out to, like, they're a civil engineer, he had to reach out to an electrical engineer and another kind, and I was, lot of people. I've got a general idea, but I don't want to commit to it.
It's a lot less than 1.6
It's
million.
much less than 1.6 million.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna tear the thing up and throw it in the trash. And we'll try again next year. Anybody else before we move on? Good.
Still got it.
All right, next up, discussion on 2021 Crosstown Trail Project. So we had talked about this in conjunction with the new proposed Crosstown Trail system.
Do you have that?
And I had an issue with having two projects open for the same thing, and we decided we'd put it on the agenda. So Mike, if you want to speak on this, and we can kind of go from there.
I would say we can close it out. No money has been spent on it. And the new project, even though I'm biased because I put it together, but I think it's far better, far broader, a better, complete, better proposal being presented for a better project this year. So I'm fine with closing it out.
On that note, I will make a motion to close the Community Trail Project from the annual town meeting 5/24/21, Article number 16, and refund the remaining balance of $29,852.70.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Done.
Aye.
All right, and did you want to, you got an update, it's just colored maps, no changes?
Yeah, I just handed that out.
All right, gotcha. Boom. All right, next up, we have discussion on CPC bylaw edits. So when we added the public members last year, we only had the initial terms, and we didn't
Hold on,
have
hold
this.
on one sec.
Yes, sir.
The project closeout, I see
That one.
16? What, isn't it 15? Isn't that the one?
Oh, did I do the wrong
I
one?
think you did the wrong one.
Oh, no.
Let's, I think the community.
Strike it, reverse it.
I think the
My
community
bad.
trail is not what we're trying to close out.
Nope, sorry.
Thank you.
Whoops.
The Crosstown Recreational Trail with $18,000 remaining balance, correct?
Correct, that's the right one. Where were we on that one? You voted yes, too. I will amend my motion
Thank you.
to close the 5/24/21 annual town meeting Article 15, Crosstown Recreational Trail, and refund the $18,000 remaining balance.
Not the Article 16 Community Trail, which has a remaining balance of $29,852.70.
Yes.
I will second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
My apologies, thank you for keeping me honest, because that
No,
would have
no.
been terrible down the line.
I know you like to close projects.
I love closing projects. All right, so, all right, back onto the CPC bylaw edit. When we changed it from the affordable housing and the
Open space.
open space and trails, and we added the public members, we couldn't come to a consensus on the terms after the initial, so we said we'll just scratch it and we'll come back to it. Well, now we have to come back to it. So you'll see, this is the edit I proposed, working with Rebecca, and it seemed to kind of not be so harsh on the language and still kind of make it so those positions are rotating. So what the edit says, 2 members of the general public who are neither town employees nor currently holding elected or appointed positions shall be recommended by the Community Preservation Committee and appointed by the Select Board. 1 member shall serve an initial term of 1 year and the other an initial term of 2 years. Thereafter, both positions shall have 3-year terms. Preference shall be given to applicants who have not previously served on the Community Preservation Committee. So by doing this, we're not eliminating the ability to come back again. However, if someone else wants to step in and do it, it's giving them the opportunity to step in and do it. So I'll open for discussion if anyone has anything they'd like to say on it. And if we're all happy with it, then we can vote it and we'll put it in the warrant.
There's a tension, and I mean, that you may have hit the right, mark of it, but there's a tension between people doing a good job on a board because they have experience on the board and, and have seen things versus engaging a broader wedge of the community, which both of these things are valuable
And
goals.
there's also some level of new ideas.
Right,
Sometimes the
right.
board gets stale.
No, understood, and,
So I feel like I bridged the gap as best as it could be bridged.
no, I understand, I don't necessarily disagree, I see the tension between those two.
Oh, I agreed.
Things that are both important. Okay, just, that is more a comment than anything else.
Fair enough.
How will this affect the current situation? So the two that are serving, if we
This wouldn't
vote
go,
this in,
this wouldn't go into effect until after we were back up again. So the one whose term is up this year, we could vote back in on I'd have to look at that because I don't know if it'd be another one-year term, because it'd be another initial term probably.
right.
And then, once this is approved by the Attorney General, which that didn't happen last year till almost September, then we could address it at next year. So I would say, we just redo that initial term for the 1 year.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, no, we'd have to do it for 2 to stagger them.
And in terms of the two public positions, or two members from the general public, would they have to have any particular area of interest or expertise or passion for?
No, I mean, if there were, I think if there were multiple candidates, we'd bring them in and kind of interview them and pick the best one as a committee. But I think the reason to switch it to that general public was to get a different opinion from someone who may not be tied to something. That
could
was
work.
my take on it anyhow.
No, it's reasonable drafting.
We want somebody who believes in CPA, and so your idea of interviewing people certainly should reveal that.
Well, when we wrote it, we gave ourselves the power to recommend who's gonna get appointed. So we took that to make sure that, the goals align or
Yeah,
not.
no, it's reasonable, it's good drafting.
Yes.
There's a fairly good-sized learning curve for this, to be on this board. And is a year enough?
Well, eventually it'll be 3 years.
Yeah, after the initial, it's 3 years, so
What I'm saying,
I hear you, because I've only been on for 2 years,
yeah.
so
I mean, might be fine to retire, but it is a big learning curve.
Oh, it is.
True.
Just-
It is.
Yeah.
Why do the initial stuff since we've already kind of had the initial stuff?
I think we would have to, the way the bylaw's written.
Yeah, but I mean, we could eliminate that, just say, when their terms end, we replace them with a 3-year term. Because we.
I mean, that is what we're doing, but if this gets approved at town meeting this year, by the time it's approved by the Attorney General and becomes law, it's already past that. So I think we need to do another initial term, would be my take on it. I can ask Rebecca or have her get council opinion on it, but I don't know that it matters, or we could just, I don't think we could just appoint him to a 3-year term this year. I don't think.
I don't see why not.
Because the bylaw doesn't say that this is a 3-year term at all, because we took it out last year.
No, but I'm saying.
We might have shot ourselves in the foot by not just figuring this out last year.
I understand what you're saying. I don't know either.
I don't know the answer. Well, we can certainly cross that bridge.
just the idea that we've already had two people in these temporary positions, kind of.
Yeah, no, agreed.
So why go down that road again? But on the other hand, we may not be able to do that because by the time.
We didn't figure it out
approved,
last year, so we
yeah,
kind
so-
of, it is what it is at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry to open that can of worms.
No, it's, open it up. I didn't think it was gonna be easy. Nothing here ever is.
Adam,
That's the only change.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we present this change to the bylaws.
All right.
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Can I approve for myself?
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
are we supposed to recuse ourselves?
No,
Should we be abstaining?
no.
No. All right, perfect, thank you. Next up, discussion on the application process for 2027 projects.
Oh, boy.
So you'll find next in your packet, this has been an ongoing thing, probably since last year with Rebecca and myself, and now Arthur has kind of chimed in. And we kind of came to the conclusion, there's a little flow chart of kind of how it goes. But there's been some, I don't want to call it butting heads, but some turmoil with town-owned projects and, whether the town is being involved too early or too late on the thought process of it. So what we decided to go with is to do a project eligibility application as the first step. We'd vote on that as a board. And at that point, then they'd assemble a team with some town people, with the project sponsor, and work together to come up with a final proposal, as opposed to someone just kind of taking the whole thing on. The town folk don't find out about it till way after it's developed, so they don't get to input any of their input. I think it'll kind of save us from taking apart and going through these things over and over and over. We've been chewing these things around since December, and we're still not ready to vote on them. So I think this will eliminate some of that.
So do you think it's a good idea for us to take a little time and look at all this, and then maybe at the next, not this coming meeting where we're voting for this stuff, but maybe the following meeting, look at 2027?
Yeah, I don't want to get too far late, because I think we're going to have to adjust our schedule and probably do our needs hearing closer to August,
No, I get it.
and then ask for, the eligibility by, say, November, if not October. So I do want to give ample time, so I don't want to wait too long on it.
Sure.
I'm fine with holding it till the next meeting, I think, but I don't know that I want to go too much past that.
Understood.
But the next meeting, we're voting on the
Yep, we're voting on-
2025 proposals.
We're voting on, the 10 or 12
So
projects.
we won't have time to do this next time, right?
I think we'll have plenty of time.
Gonna move us right through.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
how much more are we gonna talk about these projects?
I don't know, that's, yeah,
I think every question has been asked,
okay.
and most of them have been answered, and there's just a couple little ones left.
We don't necessarily have to approve it. We can start the discussion, on this stuff.
Yeah,
Next,
no,
yeah.
I would like
Mr.
to,
Chair, I'd say we could put it on the agenda, and if the time is right, we can.
yeah, and if
Voting on
we're out of
things, and
time,
if
we can
not-
just, we can,
Move.
look at it at that
Yep.
point, but I would like you to take a look at it, I think it's pretty well, I kinda tried to condense it down and
Yeah.
get rid of
I
some of
like
the
this.
repetitiveness. And the other part about it is, when we received applications this year, there were about 8 different formats of applications. This is everything will be the same.
Uniform, yeah.
And uniform, and it's gonna make it easier for everybody involved.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Thank you for putting it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of work.
you want questions?
Shoot.
So this says on town-owned property,
Yep.
but what if it's not on town-owned property? What if we're buying land, for instance? What do we do different?
Okay,
This doesn't really fit for that.
yeah. I think the other two forms do, maybe not the flow chart. But say you wanna buy land and then, assemble a team, and if, were to say if the town's bringing on land, somebody from the town should know about it and, you know, be able to, who's gonna maintain it, who's gonna do that, and ask all these questions ahead of time.
Okay. And I'm a little concerned about the project design team, who that is really gonna be.
Well, if we look at all the project this year, they all kind of defaulted to Rebecca and Arthur.
Yeah, I know, but
But I think if there was a project that was bigger than that, or that they felt they couldn't take on, then they would recommend, you know, outside help for it, or,
so do we get to designate who the project design team is?
I think it would be a communal. With that, is a good, fair question, and I'll, you know.
I mean, we should probably at least have a say in it, right? Maybe not be the ultimate deciders, but,
Yeah, I think, yeah, I don't see why, you know, if someone had a particular area of expertise, if we were putting lights down at the Pines and somebody said, hey, Adam should be involved with that, then that makes sense. If we, you know, but, yeah, it's going to have to involve town staff. Because ultimately, they are the ones that are, you know, that have to handle all this, so they should have some level of say in the initial design and thought of it, I would think. I'm open for edits and comments and concerns, this was just like, hey, let's start here.
Yeah.
No, understood. So
But yeah, I would put a mechanism in where we had some level of, say in what that design team was gonna be. All right, if there, no further discussion on that, we'll kick that to the next meeting and reopen it. Please make yourself familiar with it so that we can do something with it at the next one. All right, next up, discussion on CPA trust fund distribution projection. The figures came out the other day, and they are expecting the first round match to be 15.5%. Because we're a 3% community, we have 2 additional rounds after that in which no projection is made. So, and this is very similar to what it was last year as well. What was it, 16 last year?
yeah, but we might be lucky, we might get 30%, you know, based
Yeah,
on.
it depends on how all the second and third round goes, if anybody adopts it new, so they hit them with 100%. All right, next up, closeout reports. So we've got a whole pile of closeout reports. First one is for the cemetery preservation. This came in at 24,979, which leaves us with a refund of, bust out the old calculator here. $7,021. There was a portion of the project that was unable to be completed because the headstones were in worse condition than originally anticipated, and you can see pictures of those in the report, as well as an estimate to take care of those stones in the amount of $16,700 at a future date if someone were to want to do that. So I will entertain a motion to accept the closeout report as presented if there's no discussion on it.
We'll make a motion for approval.
Except,
And return remaining funds back to the appropriate.
Yes. Do we, was there a second?
That-
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Unanimous. All right. All right, next up, we have the Shanahan Field Access Closeout Report. And that ended up, That ended up with $216,435.64 left over that will be returned to its funds.
One question, is this just the Shanahan, or is this a combination of the Shanahan and,
This is just the Shanahan.
okay. I make a motion that we accept this.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
And return the funds to the proper
return the funds.
allocation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good, DJ.
All those in favor?
Just paying attention
Aye.
here.
All right,
Aye.
perfect. All right, next up, we have the Pines Recreation Area, parking access and accessibility. This one used all the money, so there's nothing extra. But there was, there was 216,000 returned on the last one. She kind of combined the projects when she was doing them to get better rates. So, some level of that 216,000 could be attributed to this project as well.
Motion to close out the parking access and accessibility of the Pines Recreation Area project.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. All right, next up, we have the skate park. And this one, again, used all the funds, nothing left over, project complete.
It's done and open, right?
Yes, the only thing, the highway department's gonna go down there and do some seeding and spread some loam once, the weather breaks.
Cool. Make a motion to close the skate park at the Pines Recreation Area project.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, next up is the tennis and pickleball courts at the Pines. Used it all, nothing left over, but project complete.
Make a motion to close out the tennis courts and pickleball courts with a caveat that the affidavit is signed. It doesn't have a signature on here.
Noted.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Do we need to wait till the affidavit is signed to approve it?
We all have to sign it, so I'll just be the first one, not the last one.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Love that. All right, update from town administrator. Not much to report. The only the Congregational Church is still pursuing their historic preservation restriction. We actually got a little traction on it last week, so they're gonna get a lawyer and kind of hash it out on their end. So we're kind of holding up on them. That's about it as far as an update from her. We had our affordable housing presentation tonight, and Emily will follow up on that. And then I did provide a list in the packet of the projects that are open. I know the status of the new mill pond cleanup and land survey, as well as the environmental testing, was waiting. We're gonna try and wrap all that in with some money that was secured in an earmark to do that. So we're gonna see how much of that we can do with the state's money before we spend any of our money. Trail enhancement project is ongoing.
Ongoing, the weather precludes us from doing various things on the trails at this moment, but a couple more 70-degree days and that will change,
It'll be mud season.
I tell you. But we, at this point, we're procuring lots of the infrastructure and handling that sort of piece of it. So much has been purchased, much is left to be purchased, but we're working on that piece while the weather is not good for doing the other parts.
All right. Washington Hall, you guys secured your contractor for getting on the National Registry. I saw that go through.
Yes,
So now it's just hurry up and wait.
now we're in wait mode, yes.
Fair enough. Mike, what's up with the community trail? I'm just gonna assume that's your project.
Well, it isn't, but I
It's
think-
not.
No, that's Rebecca's project, but there's some issues with what we need to do to take care of what the state wants us to complete the turtle mitigation area. And I think that's pretty much all that needs to be done.
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna use all of the.
No, I mean, we're in cleanup mode. I just wanna,
Yeah.
I wanna close them out.
I want to get it done this year because it's gone on and on and on,
Yeah,
so.
okay. And then the Crosstown Trail, we just closed. Washington Hall paving and hydro seeding. You're on the Historic Commission now?
Not the society.
No,
There's $42 remaining in that project.
yeah, she needs to submit a closeout report. But can you work with Claire and get a closeout report for that, for the,
I'll do that. yes.
thank you. Planting and preserving historic trees.
Yeah, another one that I would like to complete this year.
Yeah, and that's the Elm Park, doing something with the roots of the
Yeah,
trees
that
over
I
there.
have to talk to Arthur about because it's kind of in his court, that one, I don't know, but I'm doing the Washington Street area there.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to see some movement on that too. I feel like that's been, love to see something done with Elm Park.
Yes.
And then the pine shade and seeding, they're just waiting for good weather. And I think that covers all of them, so, I mean, we're doing pretty good. We knocked it down from like 40 projects to 10. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
And then I also included the, updated balance, including what was refunded from the projects that we just closed out.
That's this.
Yes.
Okay.
So we can use that as we're determining when we vote for projects next week, 2 weeks from now. Those are the amounts that we have available. So a total balance of $4.592 million. 2.283 million in general/recreation, 772,000 in open space, 193,000 in historic preservation, and 1.08 million in housing. Right, we'll call that the update from the town administrator. Approval of minutes, my apologies, time got away from me yesterday, I did not get them done. I promise I will have them next meeting. And then set the date for the next meeting, it's gonna be March 23rd at 6:30, right here, live. Yep, so 2 weeks from tonight. And then other items not reasonably anticipated at the time of posting. Ed, anything?
I have nothing.
Kim?
I'm fine, thank you.
Linda?
I'm all set.
Patrick?
None.
I would like to entertain the possibility of, if anybody would like to volunteer to be the secretary for this committee, that would be very helpful. And if anyone is interested, I'll put it on the agenda for next week and we can discuss and vote. To just take the minutes, in budget season with the finance board, it's impossible. There's a meeting every other night here. It's, this time of year is tough. Mike, anything?
No.
Elaine? Leah? DJ? I'm good. All right. Alrighty. My favorite time of the night.
All right, I'll make a motion to
Do you have anything from anybody else in the,
oh, sure, yeah.
okay.
That said, I'll make a motion to close the meeting at 8:07 PM.
Second?
All those in favor? Meeting adjourned, 8:07.